When the alien princess took the human princess's hand, empires trembled. This was her first diplomatic mission to the Andromeda Confederation, a galaxy of civilizations older and more advanced than anything humans had ever known. The human leaders had entrusted her with a task that could change the future of her people, to meet the alien rulers, learn their ways, and show them that humans could be allies. Alara took a deep breath. She had been trained for years in languages, diplomacy, and etiquette, but nothing could have prepared her for the feeling of standing before a galaxy so vast and alive with possibilities. Her mind wandered to her family, to the quiet mornings on Earth, and to the friends she had left behind. But there was no time for longing. She had a duty, and she would not fail. The ship slowed as it entered the orbit of Lyran's homeworld, Solara Prime, a planet that shimmered with crystal towers and glowing cities. It was beautiful in a way that seemed impossible. Light reflected off towers like diamonds, and streams of energy flowed through the streets, carried in transparent tubes that connected one part of the city to another. Hovering vehicles moved gracefully, leaving trails of light behind them. From above, the planet looked alive as if it were breathing. Alara's heart raced. She had read about Solara Prime, but nothing could compare to seeing it with her own eyes. A soft chime echoed through the ship. "Princess Alara, we are entering the docking bay," said the ship's AI in a calm voice. Alara nodded, steadying herself. The docking bay opened and she stepped onto the platform. Alien attendants moved gracefully around her, their skin shimmering in subtle shades of blue and green. Their eyes were larger than human eyes, and their expressions seemed both knowing and distant. Every step she took felt watched, studied, yet there was no hostility. She was here as a guest, and for the first time in her life, Alara felt the full weight of her responsibility. The ceremony hall was beyond anything she had imagined. High ceilings reflected light in every color of the spectrum, and the walls seemed to ripple like liquid crystal. At the center, standing on a raised platform, was Princess Lyran. She was taller than Alara, with elegant features and eyes that seemed to see into the heart of anyone who looked at her. Her posture was perfect, her presence commanding yet calm. Alara stepped forward. Every ambassador and court official watched silently. She bowed slightly, following the customs she had learned, though she knew none of them would truly understand human gestures. Lyran smiled faintly and extended her hand. "Welcome, Princess Alara," she said. Her voice was melodic, smooth, and somehow warm, carrying a tone of curiosity rather than ceremony. Alara hesitated for only a moment before taking her hand. The moment their fingers touched, it felt as if a current passed between them, not electricity, not magic, just a deep connection that made the air around them seem lighter. A hush fell over the room. Courtiers whispered to each other, diplomats shifted nervously, and even the AI monitoring the event noted unusual readings. Lyran's smile widened slightly. "It is rare for someone from your world to come so far. You have courage, Princess." Alara felt her cheeks flush. "Thank you. I have been looking forward to learning from you and your people." They moved together into the hall, walking side by side. Lyran explained the structure of the Confederation, its history, and the delicate balance between planets and dynasties. Alara listened intently, asking questions about technology, culture, and philosophy. Every answer from Lyran was thoughtful and precise, yet it carried a hint of wonder. It was clear that she valued knowledge as much as humans did. During the tour, Alara saw alien technology unlike anything on Earth. Floating gardens hovered above crystal rivers, machines that could assemble food from raw energy, and communication devices that allowed beings from different planets to speak without language barriers. Yet she noticed something even more remarkable. The aliens' expressions, gestures, and attitudes reflected genuine curiosity, not superiority. They were proud of their history, but they wanted to understand others. At one point, they reached the Crystal Library, a vast dome filled with knowledge from countless worlds. Books floated in midair, and holographic projections displayed histories of civilizations that had long vanished. Lyran gestured to a human manuscript displayed in a protective energy field. "This," Lyran said, "is remarkable. Your species has created such stories despite having a short history among the stars." Alara smiled, feeling a mix of pride and nervousness. "Stories are how we survive. We learn from them, we teach, we imagine. It is our way of connecting." Lyran nodded. "I see. Perhaps there is more in humans than some of my people realized." Her eyes met Alara's again, and the same current seemed to pass between them, stronger now. Alara had never experienced a connection like this, not with any human, not with anyone, and yet it felt natural. Later, they entered the ceremonial hall for the formal greeting. Dignitaries from different planets were present, some in robes of gold, others in flowing silks of colors unknown to Earth. The air was tense with expectation. Every alien in the room understood the weight of this meeting. A human princess here was unusual, a human standing alongside a Solarian princess even more so. Lyran turned to the assembly. Today, we welcome a guest from a distant world. Princess Alara of Earth comes with courage, curiosity, and a willingness to learn. Her voice carried across the hall, steady and confident. Let her presence remind us that wisdom can come from unexpected places. There was a ripple of murmurs, some approving, some skeptical. Alara glanced at Lyran, whose calm confidence made her own anxiety fade. She took a deep breath and spoke. Thank you, Princess Lyran and all of you. I come not to challenge or claim, but to share and learn. Humans have much to discover, and perhaps we can discover it together. A silence followed. Then a single clap echoed, followed by others. It was a start, small but significant. As the ceremony continued, Lyran did something that shocked everyone. She reached for Alara's hand again, not for protocol, not for politics, but simply as an act of trust and connection. Alara squeezed it gently, feeling the warmth and sincerity behind the gesture. The whispers in the hall grew louder. In human terms, it was just holding hands, but in Solarian tradition, it carried meaning beyond ceremony. It suggested partnership, respect, and a bond that could influence entire civilizations. When the ceremony ended, Lyran led Alara to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. Do you feel it? Lyran asked softly. The way everything watches, everything waits? Alara nodded. Yes, I think they are not sure what to expect. Maybe neither am I, Lyran smiled. Then we will show them, not with force, not with threats, but with understanding. If humans can learn from us, and we from them, perhaps we can do something no one else imagined. For the first time, Alara felt hope mixed with excitement. This journey was more than diplomacy. It was a chance to build bridges where no bridges had existed. She realized that her every action, every word, every gesture mattered. And the hand-holding, simple as it seemed, might be the first ripple that changed the galaxy. As night fell on Solara Prime, the city shimmered like a sea of lights. Alara and Lyran stood together, watching stars that stretched beyond imagination. The wind, soft and scented with alien blooms, whispered through the balcony. Alara felt a strange certainty. Her life had changed forever, and the galaxy was watching. In the following days, Alara would learn more about the Confederation, attend councils with alien diplomats, and explore wonders beyond her wildest dreams. But none of it would compare to the connection she had made with Lyran. The knowledge that, despite differences, two beings from different worlds could understand each other, could trust each other, and could inspire change together. It was a small act, holding hands, yet it carried a power that neither of them fully understood. And as the stars gleamed above Solara Prime, Alara knew that the ripples from this simple gesture would spread far and wide, shaping destinies, influencing empires, and challenging traditions. In the quiet of the night, she whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning." And indeed it was. After the ceremonial welcome, Princess Alara's days on Solara Prime were filled with wonder, discovery, and delicate diplomacy. Each morning, she awoke to the soft glow of alien suns filtering through her quarters, casting patterns of light that seemed almost alive. From her window, she could see the floating gardens that hung over the city and the streams of energy flowing like silver rivers between towers. Even the air smelled different, fresh, tinged with alien blooms she had never seen or imagined. Lyran met her every day, guiding her through the wonders of Solara Prime. They began in the Great Academy, where beings from hundreds of planets studied sciences, art, and philosophy. Alara's curiosity drew her to the classrooms, where she watched alien students manipulate energy with gestures, create three-dimensional holographic sculptures, and debate ideas that humans had only just begun to imagine. At first, she felt out of place. Her hands could not create the same shapes, her mind could not grasp the same patterns, yet Lyran never let her feel small. "You don't need to do exactly as we do," Lyran told her one day. "Your perspective is different, and that is valuable." Sometimes seeing things simply without centuries of tradition shows truths others overlook. Alara nodded, realizing that human strength lay not in matching alien skill, but in thinking differently. She shared her ideas, small but original, about energy storage, communication, and collaboration. Lyran listened carefully, asking questions and encouraging her to expand on them. Soon, Alara noticed that even the brightest students paused when she spoke, curious about a human perspective they had never considered. It was not all science and learning. Lyran introduced Alara to the arts of the Confederation. They walked through galleries where paintings were woven from light and sound, where music was sculpted into visible patterns in the air. Alara marveled at the beauty, but she also shared human art with Lyran, drawings of forests, rivers, and cities, simple sketches that carried emotions far beyond their simplicity. Lyran studied each one with genuine interest. "Your world is alive with feeling," Lyran said, her eyes bright. "Even without color or technology, your art touches in ways ours sometimes does not." In these quiet moments, the bond between them grew. They laughed at misunderstandings, Alara mistaking an alien greeting for offense, Lyran misreading a human gesture, and learned from each other. But outside these moments, the galaxy was watching, and not everyone was pleased. Some alien houses saw Alara's influence as dangerous. They had long relied on strict hierarchies and traditions, and the presence of a human princess disrupted their expectations. Rumors began to circulate that Lyran was favoring Alara, that human ideas could reshape the Confederation's ways, and that old alliances might be threatened. Courtiers whispered in shadowed halls, sending subtle messages that travel faster than any ship. Alara noticed some of the tension, but did not let it discourage her. She knew that change would make some uncomfortable, but she also believed that mutual respect could overcome fear. With Lyran at her side, she felt empowered to show the potential of collaboration between humans and aliens. One afternoon, Lyran suggested a new initiative, a cultural exchange festival. "We will showcase human creativity alongside Solarian wonders," Lyran explained. "It will allow everyone to see the value in different perspectives. Perhaps, in seeing what humans can contribute, they will reconsider their biases." Alara was excited. She worked tirelessly, gathering human stories, music, art, and technological ideas that could be demonstrated safely. Lyran coordinated with alien artists and scholars, ensuring that the festival would be both spectacular and meaningful. When the festival opened, the Grand Plaza was alive with energy. Beings from dozens of planets moved through displays, experiencing music that changed colors as it played, holographic illustrations of human stories, and interactive exhibitions showing human problem-solving and innovation. The audience gasped, laughed, and even paused in awe. Alara and Lyran moved through the crowds together, holding hands as a symbol of their partnership. Their gesture drew attention immediately. For humans, it was simple, a sign of trust and friendship, but to the aliens, it symbolized something greater, a bond that could influence the balance of power, a connection that defied centuries of tradition. A young alien scientist approached Alara, curiosity written across her shimmering features. "Your ideas, they are simple yet elegant," she said. "I do not understand how your mind works, but I want to learn more." Alara smiled. "We humans learn by trial, error, and imagination. We make mistakes, yes, but we also see solutions in ways others sometimes overlook." Lyran watched the exchange, pride in her eyes. "You are teaching even the most brilliant minds here that there is value in simplicity, in courage, and in openness." By the end of the festival, whispers had spread across the Confederation. Some were in awe, others skeptical, but no one could deny the effect. For the first time, humans were not seen as primitive or weak. They were seen as capable of influencing, inspiring, and contributing to galactic civilization. But Alara and Lyran knew that admiration alone was not enough. Change required diplomacy, patience, and courage. They began attending council meetings together, where alien rulers debated politics, trade, and security. At first, many of the elders were dismissive, speaking in complex language that Alara struggled to follow. Yet Lyran stood beside her, translating meaning, adding context, and often speaking in Alara's defense. Over time, Alara began to speak directly to the council. She described how humans solve problems, emphasizing creativity, empathy, and collaboration. She told stories of Earth's history, of civilizations that had survived hardship through cooperation and understanding. Slowly, the council began to listen. Some were intrigued, some hesitant, but all recognized that humans could no longer be ignored. Alara's growing influence was not without challenges. Certain factions tried to discredit her, spreading false rumors that she sought to manipulate the Confederation for Earth's gain. Others suggested that Lyran's favor toward her was improper. Alara faced these attacks with calm and clarity, refusing to respond with anger. She knew that diplomacy required patience, and that trust could only be built through consistent honesty and action. In the quiet of their shared chambers, Lyran reassured her. Do not worry about their whispers. The ones who matter will see your intentions clearly, and those who do not, they will learn eventually. Alara appreciated Lyran's support. It gave her strength to continue to push forward despite resistance. Together, they planned further exchanges, including educational programs where human and alien students could work together, and collaborative research projects that combined human creativity with alien technology. One evening, as they walked through a glowing garden, Alara paused to watch the luminescent plants sway in the wind. Lyran joined her and, without speaking, took her hand once more. The gesture was simple but powerful, a reminder that they faced these challenges together. You know, Alara said softly, when I first arrived, I worried about fitting in, about whether humans could truly be part of this galaxy. Lyran squeezed her hand. You fit because you are human, your perspective, your courage, your heart, these are what make you valuable. Not despite being human, but because of it. Alara felt a warmth spread through her chest. It was not just pride or happiness, it was hope. Hope that humans could be more than observers, more than explorers. Hope that they could build alliances, friendships, and understanding across worlds. The days passed, each filled with new experiences. Alara learned to navigate alien etiquette, to understand their history, and to appreciate the beauty of their innovations. Lyran, in turn, learned from Alara about human resilience, imagination, and the power of simple actions to create change. Together, they inspired those around them, showing that even in a galaxy of advanced civilizations, empathy, courage, and connection could be revolutionary. Then came the first major test of their bond. During a council meeting, a representative from a distant empire accused Alara of influencing Lyran improperly. The hall erupted in debate. Some supported the claim, suggesting that human involvement could disrupt centuries of careful balance. Others defended Alara, arguing that her ideas were practical, her actions respectful, and her presence inspiring. Alara remained calm, listening to each argument. When it was her turn to speak, she addressed the council directly, her voice steady. I do not seek power here. I seek understanding. I am a student of your civilization, not a challenger. And if we work together, humans and aliens alike can achieve more than we could alone. The council was silent. Then Lyran rose, standing beside Alara, her voice strong and unwavering. I trust Princess Alara. Her presence here is a gift, not a threat. We should judge actions by their intent and their results, not by fear or prejudice. A hush fell over the chamber. Even the most skeptical members could not ignore the truth in Lyran's words. Slowly, murmurs of agreement spread, and the challenge passed, not as a victory for humans, but as a recognition that courage, integrity, and collaboration could overcome doubt and suspicion. That evening, Alara and Lyran walked once more through the city holding hands. The glow of the towers reflected in their eyes, and for a moment, all the tension, fear, and politics faded. They had faced doubt, scrutiny, and challenge, and together they had shown that even the smallest actions could create ripples across the galaxy. Alara realized that this was only the beginning. The path ahead would be filled with new challenges, misunderstandings, and tests of patience. Yet she also knew that, with Lyran by her side, with their bond unshakable, they could inspire a galaxy to see humans not as outsiders, but as partners, as equals, and perhaps even as friends. And as the twin moons of Solara Prime rose above the crystal towers, casting silver light across the city, Alara felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. The festival, the councils, the whispers, all were part of a larger story. A story of trust, hope, and the extraordinary potential that arose when two worlds reached for each other across the stars. In the quiet night, Alara whispered to herself, Empires may tremble, but they will tremble not at our strength, but at our courage to connect, to understand, and to dream. And in that moment, she knew that change was coming, not through force, not through fear, but through the simple, courageous acts of two princesses holding hands, showing the galaxy that humanity had arrived, and that together they could shape a brighter future. The weeks following the cultural festival brought a wave of excitement across the Andromeda Confederation. Humans were no longer a distant curiosity. They were becoming a presence that mattered. Princess Alara had grown confident in her role, speaking in councils, sharing ideas, and forging connections that even seasoned diplomats admired. Yet with every step forward, tension quietly grew among certain alien empires that had long dominated politics. Alara noticed it first during a meeting with the Council of Seven, a governing body composed of representatives from the oldest and most influential dynasties. The chamber was grand, with ceilings that stretched beyond sight and walls that shimmered with flowing energy patterns representing the histories of countless worlds. Yet the atmosphere was heavy, filled with whispers and careful glances. A representative from the Kristaran Empire spoke first. "The presence of humans in our councils is unprecedented," he said, his voice cold. "While we recognize their intelligence, we must ask, how can a species so young, from a world so distant, claim understanding of our complex societies?" Alara sat with Lyran beside her, listening carefully. She had prepared for challenges, but she knew that subtlety and diplomacy would be far more effective than argument. When her turn came, she stood and addressed the council, her tone calm. "Humans may be young in the galaxy," she said, "but we have faced hardships, learned from mistakes, and created solutions from our creativity. Understanding is not only a matter of age, but of perspective and willingness to listen. We offer our perspectives, not to dominate, but to collaborate." Lyran nodded beside her, adding, "I have seen Princess Alara's contributions firsthand. Her ideas are thoughtful, respectful, and beneficial to all. Dismissing them because of origin alone would be a disservice to our shared future." Some council members remained skeptical, but others leaned forward, intrigued. It was clear that Alara's presence was no longer simply tolerated. It was beginning to influence the way leaders thought. Outside the council, whispers of intrigue and worry traveled faster than any spaceship. Certain empires feared that humans could upset established hierarchies. Others, more curious, began sending emissaries to meet with Alara, hoping to understand her species and perhaps gain an advantage by learning from her insight. Alara and Lyran decided to focus on building trust. They traveled together to distant colonies within the Confederation, demonstrating practical applications of human problem-solving alongside alien technology. On one planet, they worked with engineers to stabilize energy grids using a human approach of redundancy and adaptive logic. On another, they helped coordinate disaster simulations, showing how humans plan for emergencies in ways unfamiliar to alien societies. During these missions, Alara's courage and empathy impressed even the most skeptical leaders. She didn't command or dictate, she listened, adapted, and collaborated. Slowly, humans were being seen as partners rather than outsiders, yet not all attention was favorable. The Galthurian Empire, a powerful faction known for its secrecy and political maneuvering, began to oppose Alara's influence. They spread subtle rumors that humans sought control, that Lyran favored Alara for reasons unrelated to diplomacy, and that an alliance between humans and Solarians could destabilize trade and power balances. Alara learned of these rumors through quiet whispers from allies. She did not panic. Instead, she met with Lyran in their private quarters. The room was simple, filled with soft lights and cushions for conversation. Lyran held her hand, as she often did, providing strength and comfort. "We expected resistance," Lyran said. "The stronger the challenge we face, the greater the opportunity to prove ourselves. Do not let their fears shake you. Show them that courage and honesty matter more than suspicion." Alara nodded. She realized that every act of kindness, every demonstration of skill, every thoughtful conversation could ripple across the galaxy. Even small gestures, the way she listened, the way she offered solutions, the way she held Lyran's hand in public, were powerful. The Council scheduled a major summit, bringing together leaders from all corners of the Confederation. It was an opportunity for Alara to demonstrate human potential on the grandest stage yet. The summit was held on a neutral space station orbiting a twin star system. Ships from dozens of planets floated outside, each carrying ambassadors, soldiers, and scholars. Alara and Lyran arrived together, stepping into the vast chamber. The room was alive with beings of every shape, color, and size. Holographic displays floated above the floor, showing trade routes, cultural connections, and historical records. Alara felt the weight of expectation, yet she drew strength from Lyran's presence. The first sessions were tense. Many leaders questioned the value of including a human in the decision-making process. Alara listened quietly, taking notes, observing patterns, and thinking carefully before speaking. When her turn came, she addressed the council with clarity and confidence. Humans have learned to solve problems in ways that may seem unconventional, she said. We rely on creativity, collaboration, and empathy. These methods have allowed our species to survive disasters, adapt to challenges, and build connections across differences. We offer these insights not to dominate, but to contribute. She shared examples from Earth, how communities worked together during crises, how innovation arose from limited resources, and how empathy allowed humans to understand each other despite differences. Leaders murmured, intrigued. Some scribbled notes, others whispered to advisors. Slowly, the room shifted from skepticism to curiosity. Lyran supported her every step. She translated Alara's ideas into the context of the Confederation, showing how human approaches could complement alien systems rather than replace them. Together, they presented a vision of cooperation that crossed species, planets, and traditions. Outside the chamber, the effects were immediate. News spread quickly. Humans were not only capable, they were inspiring. Some empires began to reconsider their previous opposition. Others, more cautious, observed closely, waiting to see if the human-Solarian partnership would bring tangible benefits. During breaks, Alara met with alien students, inventors, and diplomats, listening to their questions and sharing human perspectives. She explained how creativity often arose from necessity, how collaboration could solve seemingly impossible problems, and how trust could be more powerful than power. On the third day of the summit, an unexpected event tested their partnership. A critical trade agreement was under discussion, one that involved energy distribution across several star systems. One of the Elder Council members proposed a plan that seemed efficient but overlooked a critical variable: environmental impact on several planets. Alara noticed the flaw immediately. She raised her hand, asking to speak. The room grew quiet. Some leaders looked annoyed. An outsider questioning an elder was unusual, yet Alara spoke calmly, clearly, and respectfully. If we implement this plan without considering its effects, several planets will suffer unnecessary harm, she said. By adjusting our approach slightly, we can maintain efficiency while protecting the environment. This will strengthen trust between planets and ensure long-term stability. The chamber fell silent. Then Lyran added, I support this assessment. Humans bring perspectives we often overlook. It is wise to consider their insights. The proposal was revised and the agreement passed successfully. Alara's influence had grown, not through power, but through observation, insight, and collaboration. Even skeptical leaders could not deny the value she brought. At the end of the summit, Alara and Lyran stood together on a balcony overlooking the space station's docking bay. Ships from dozens of planets glowed with lights, preparing to return home. You see, Lyran said, squeezing Alara's hand. Even the oldest traditions can bend when truth and respect are shown. You have changed perceptions across the Confederation. Alara smiled, though she felt the weight of responsibility. Yes, but there are still challenges. Some empires will resist, and humans must prove themselves further. Lyran nodded. We will face them together. The bond we share is stronger than fear or suspicion. And as we continue to act with honesty, courage, and empathy, the galaxy will see the value in humans. The following weeks brought further opportunities. Alara and Lyran organized educational programs where human and alien students collaborated on engineering projects, art exhibitions, and interspecies research. They encouraged leaders to observe and participate, demonstrating that cooperation across species could lead to innovation beyond imagination. Each success inspired others. News of their collaboration spread to distant empires. Trade routes improved, research accelerated, and cultural understanding deepened. Humans were no longer a novelty. They were a source of fresh ideas and inspiration. Even the Galthurian Empire, which had opposed Alara from the beginning, began sending emissaries to learn from her methods. Slowly, suspicion gave way to curiosity. While not all leaders embraced humans immediately, the ripple effect of Alara's actions was undeniable. Through it all, Alara and Lyran remained close, often walking hand in hand through the glowing cities of Solara Prime. They shared quiet moments, discussing strategy, culture, and even their personal hopes for the future. Every conversation, every gesture, every shared smile strengthened not only their bond, but also the potential for lasting change. Alara realized that the galaxy was shifting, not because of force or power, but because two beings from different worlds chose to trust each other, to collaborate, and to inspire. They had begun a movement that would transform empires, influence leaders, and change perceptions of humanity across countless star systems. As twin suns set over the horizon, casting long shadows over the crystal towers, Alara felt a sense of purpose and determination stronger than ever. The challenges ahead would be many, but she knew that with Lyran by her side, they could face any obstacle, bridge any divide, and show the galaxy that courage, empathy, and connection were forces more powerful than armies. And so, as the stars began to twinkle across the night sky, Alara whispered to herself, "Empires may tremble, but they will tremble at the power of understanding, trust, and the courage to connect." For the first time, she understood that the bond she shared with Lyran was not just a personal connection. It was a symbol, a beacon, and a promise that even the smallest gestures could ripple across galaxies, shaping a future where humans and aliens could thrive together. The galaxy was changing. Word of Princess Alara and Princess Lyran's partnership had traveled far beyond Solara Prime, reaching empires that had never welcomed outsiders into their councils. Some watched with curiosity, others with caution, but all could not ignore the influence that the two princesses wielded. Their collaboration had inspired leaders, scholars, and ordinary citizens alike, showing that trust, empathy, and courage could transcend species, planets, and centuries of tradition. Alara stood on the observation deck of the central spaceport, looking at the comings and goings of ships from distant worlds. Each vessel carried messages, goods, and ideas, moving freely across the galaxy in ways that had once seemed impossible. Lyran joined her, the soft glow of the station reflecting in her eyes. "Do you see?" Lyran said, gesturing to the bustling docks. "The galaxy is responding. They are learning that cooperation can bring prosperity, not fear." Alara smiled, though she felt the weight of responsibility. "Yes, but we must continue. Some still hesitate, some still doubt. Change does not come quickly." Lyran nodded. "Then we will show them not with words alone, but with action." Their plan was ambitious. A grand unity summit, inviting representatives from every major empire, including those that had resisted Alara's presence. The goal was to demonstrate that humans and Solarians could lead with understanding and innovation, setting an example for others to follow. The summit took place on a massive orbital platform above a neutral planet, a structure that floated gracefully among the stars. Crystalline halls reflected light in patterns that shifted with the movement of the sun, and vast windows revealed distant galaxies. Representatives from dozens of empires arrived, some skeptical, others curious, and a few openly hostile. Alara felt a flutter of nerves, but knew that their preparation and integrity would guide them. Lyran led her through the initial ceremonies, introducing her as an equal partner. The simple act of holding Alara's hand during the formal greetings caused a quiet stir among the delegates. For humans, it was natural. For aliens, it was unprecedented, a visible symbol of trust and unity that challenged centuries of tradition. The summit began with discussions on trade, education, and technology. Alara presented human approaches to problem-solving, emphasizing creativity, empathy, and collaboration. She explained how humans addressed challenges on Earth. By combining knowledge from different cultures, working together despite differences, and prioritizing the well-being of communities over individual gain. Delegates listened, some with curiosity, others with skepticism. But when Lyran expanded on Alara's points, showing how human methods complemented alien systems, the atmosphere shifted. Ideas that had once seemed radical now appeared practical and even inspiring. On the second day, they introduced an interstellar project. a collaborative network of research stations where humans and aliens would work together to solve problems such as energy shortages, planetary sustainability, and communication challenges across light years. Demonstrations showed how human creativity paired with alien technology could produce solutions previously thought impossible. Alara worked tirelessly, explaining concepts, answering questions, and offering examples. Lyran translated and contextualized, ensuring every leader understood the potential. By the end of the day, many of the most skeptical delegates were nodding, their previous doubts giving way to curiosity and cautious optimism. But the summit was not without tension. The Galthurian Empire, which had long opposed human involvement, challenged Alara directly. Their representatives spoke in formal tones, questioning her experience, her motives, and even Lyran's judgment. The hall grew tense as whispers filled the chamber. Alara took a deep breath, steadying herself. She had faced doubt before, but this challenge was public in front of the most influential leaders in the galaxy. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. "I do not claim to know everything, nor do I seek to dominate. I am here to share, to collaborate, and to learn. Humans have faced adversity, adapted, and grown through cooperation. That is our strength, and that is what we offer. Not superiority, not power, but partnership." Lyran stepped forward, her hand resting lightly on Alara's. "I have worked with Princess Alara closely. Her insights are valuable, her actions honorable, and her intentions sincere. We can achieve more together than separately. That is why I trust her, and why I invite all of you to trust her as well." The chamber fell silent. For the first time, even the most rigid delegates could not deny the truth in their words. Slowly, applause spread across the hall. The skeptics remained thoughtful, but their opposition had weakened. The message was clear. Collaboration was more powerful than fear. During the summit, Alara and Lyran also introduced cultural showcases. Alien music blended with human melodies, creating harmonies that were entirely new. Art from Earth and across the Confederation was displayed side by side, illustrating shared creativity and respect. Delegates and citizens alike were captivated, realizing that the bond between humans and Solarians could inspire beauty and innovation, not just politics. In private discussions, emissaries from hesitant empires approached Alara. They asked questions, requested demonstrations, and even suggested collaborative projects. Humans were no longer outsiders, they were partners with ideas worth considering. By the fourth day, the summit had become a turning point. Leaders who had doubted the humans' role in the galaxy now sought ways to include them in projects, councils, and cultural exchanges. Trade agreements were revised to encourage cooperation, research stations were planned with joint teams, and educational programs were established to bring human and alien students together. Through it all, Alara and Lyran remained inseparable. Their partnership, symbolized by the simple act of holding hands, became a beacon of trust and unity. Their bond inspired others to put aside fear and prejudice, to see the value in collaboration and connection. One evening, after the summit concluded, Alara and Lyran stood on the observation deck of the space station. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and distant planets glimmered like jewels. "Look at what we have accomplished," Lyran said softly. "It is more than I could have imagined," Alara smiled. "It is just the beginning. Change takes time, but we have shown that it is possible. We have given the galaxy hope." Lyran squeezed her hand, "And we will continue to do so. As long as we act with courage, honesty, and empathy, nothing can stop the ripple we have started." Alara felt a sense of pride and purpose she had never known. She had traveled across the stars, faced skepticism, and inspired entire civilizations, not through force, but through understanding, trust, and connection. Together, they had shown that humans were capable of more than survival. They were capable of leadership, innovation, and friendship across worlds. The story of their partnership began to spread beyond the summit. Messages of inspiration traveled across star systems, carried by ships, broadcasts, and travelers. Children in distant colonies learned about the human princess who held the hand of an alien princess and showed the galaxy that cooperation and empathy could change empires. Scholars wrote treatises on human creativity and its potential to complement alien knowledge. Diplomats and leaders cited Alara and Lyran as examples of how partnerships could overcome fear and prejudice. In the weeks that followed, new initiatives took shape. Human and alien research teams solved energy challenges on distant worlds. Cultural programs flourished, blending traditions and creating shared festivals that celebrated diversity and unity. Trade became more equitable, and diplomacy more open. The galaxy was beginning to see that change was not a threat, but an opportunity. Alara and Lyran often walked together through the glowing cities of Solera Prime, discussing ideas, planning new projects, and simply enjoying each other's company. Every gesture, every conversation, every shared smile reinforced the bond that had inspired a galaxy. One night, as they watched the twin moons rise above the crystal towers, Alara spoke quietly. "Do you think we truly understand the effect we have had?" Lyran smiled, resting her head lightly against Alara's shoulder. "Not fully. Some changes are immediate, others take time. But I know this, we have started something extraordinary. We have shown that empathy, courage, and understanding can shape the future more than armies or fear ever could." Alara nodded, feeling the truth in her words. She realized that their journey was not only about humans proving their worth, but about showing that trust and friendship could unite worlds. The galaxy had seen what could happen when two beings from different worlds chose to connect, to understand, and to inspire. In the quiet of the night, the stars twinkled as if in agreement. Alara whispered to herself, "Empires have trembled, but not from force. They have trembled at the courage to reach out, to trust, and to change together." Lyran squeezed her hand once more, and for the first time in her life, Alara felt that the impossible was possible. Two princesses from different worlds had reshaped the galaxy, not through conquest, not through power, but through empathy, respect, and the simple, profound act of holding hands. And as they stood together under the endless stars, Alara understood that their story would be remembered for generations. A tale of humans and aliens, of courage and trust, of two worlds joining hands to inspire hope, unity, and a future where empires trembled, not in fear, but in wonder at what connection could achieve. The galaxy was no longer divided. It was beginning to dream together, and it had begun with a human princess, an alien princess, and a hand extended in trust. When the alien princess took the human princess's hand, empires trembled.